Hey everybody, welcome back to the Airsoftology Q&A show. I'm your host, Jonathan Higgs, and hopefully gonna knock out quite a few questions this week. I'm gonna be a little more rapid fire, see if I can jam a few extras in. If it's your first time here, I do answer your questions from last week's show, so make sure to put questions this week down in the comment section, and I will pick out the best and do my best to dig through and get them answered on the next show, as well as if you have your own YouTube channel or a channel that you enjoy that's Airsoft related, put that recommendation down there, and I will promote it at the end of the video in the Code Red Headsets video recommendation of the week. But before we get started, it goes to support the channel. It also helps. I've got let me try to get everything here so it's visible. I have a web store and I sell a bunch of morale patches that are all unique and original, have artists that draw these things or I create them and things like that. And they're all up there. They ship most places right now due to the pandemic. I think if your country's in the drop down, they will definitely get there. And I have one small flat rate shipping for your entire order. It's real simple. So if you want to support the channel and get something cool in return, go check it out. The link is in the corner or down there. It's also patchfiend.com. Throw those off. Now, let's dive into what you're really here for, and that's your questions in the TitanPower Mailcall. Snowball the Tacticoski is back again with, if you could only have one primary and one secondary, what would it be? I know I'm gonna sound so basic here, but I would definitely say, if I had to have only one primary, one secondary, I would go with something that had the most compatibility with magazines of other players. So I would stick with an M4 platform. If I'm talking practical, I'll give you a practical and then I'll give you my wish list. I'll kind of give you two. For sure, primary, I would stick with some sort of M4. Something lightweight. I would say there's a lot of great ones coming out. I mean, the new BCM rifle from BFZ is pretty hot, just dropped. It's in Asia right now. I think it's gonna hit the Europe and in the US here in the next handful of months. I've had a chance to play with it a little bit and get my hands on one. In fact, I got a review of that coming up shortly. Anything like that, like you've got KWA, they're pretty hot too, they're good. I mean, anything that's a good solid metal M4 that's on that premium end, like for sure Crytek, I'd say stick with Crytek, VFC, or KWA. You're really not gonna go wrong if you grab one of those three. It's a no-brainer, honestly, if you're going the M4 platform. As for sidearms, I gotta go basic if I'm gonna go like the safe route and get a Glock. Get something like a Glock. I would dare say 19 or the 19X. I like the idea of the 19 because you have the compatibility with 19 mags and 17 mags, which are longer. It'll give you the ability to borrow mags. The reason I'm saying these is you can borrow teammates' magazines if you're empty. You can have a larger selection of like high capacity mags, like you could run a drum mag or something like that, and just accessories and things like that. To be honest, that's why I'm saying go with the Glock. So yeah, with the G19, you could use the longer mags, and like I would say in a dream situation, the 18C, probably because you have that full auto feature. I think that's pretty it. Or you can do something like the Novridge pistol. It's interchangeable with most Glock series mags. Something like that. I think that's gonna be your safest bet. You'll have the widest range of holsters and things like that. Now, wild card, if I can run anything I wanted, I would almost dare say, in that case, as a primary, I would probably run okay, this is my dream, or dream is what I used to run actually. As a primary, I would run some kind of support gun, like if they even made it an MG4 or an M249, like a Mark 46-ish version of that is what I would run as a primary. I'm a support gunner guy, that's me. Typically you get allowance of a higher feet per second, you get full auto firing. I enjoy playing the support role and keeping heads down, laying covering fire. And then for a backup, a secondary, I would probably run an MP7, and that way I can drop my LMG, take the MP7 and still be very combat effective, clearing rooms and engaging at middle to short range. So I can have middle to long with the support gun because you have a minimum engagement, you can't engage close. And then for up close to middle, something like an MP7 would be just ideal. I'd probably throw a suppressor on the end of it with like the one I have actually, but I haven't done this. I haven't put a longer inner barrel in it. I would do that just to get a little more accuracy because the inner barrel the MP7 is so short, so short. It's almost like a pistol. So I would want to lengthen the thing out, get a little more accuracy at range so I can be more combat effective dealing with those mid-range targets, because sometimes once people start to hit that mid-range and get to your minimum engagement, you need to swap. So that's my dream setup. I'd say that was what I would run if I was gonna be like, okay, this is like what I'm really gonna run. If I'm gonna be practical, I do the M4 and the Glock. So 2 answers. Curious for you guys and gals. This will be the question for you of the week. Of course, you can ask any question down there, but the question for you to answer is, what would your 2 be? I think Snowball the Tactical Husky has a pretty good question here. So what would your dream or realistic primary and secondary be? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll kind of be down there sifting through and answering and favoriting some of those to see what you guys and gals are into these days. Brad Beard Airsoft writes, hey man, what are your thoughts on Airsoft gameplay videos? What makes a video either good or bad? And what do you think the future of Airsoft videos might be? Also, I'd love to get a shout out for my channel in one of these episodes. I think when you look at Airsoft videos, it comes down to just videos in general, the ability to tell a good story. I think there are a few, there's 2 different ways. Either tell a good story or entertain people through memes and things like that. I think there's some great Airsofters out there that do a lot of the memeing on the channel. So they're usually shorter videos, kind of a lot of little vignettes or montages, and they maybe use some humor and memes inside. That, I think, is one way of doing it. I think the other way to do it, make a great video, is telling a good story. I think people like Airsoft Alphonse, Jet the Desert Fox, and Novrich, they all tell great stories when it comes to gameplay. Novrich has a lot less gameplay videos today. I mean, he's built kind of this manufacturing empire, but back in his peak, when he was putting out videos all the time, he really probably was one of the best storytellers. I think Swamp Sniper right now has that crown. If you really want to pick out a channel that is telling a fantastic story with, I would say, good cinematics. I mean, just good filmmaking. It's really what it comes down to. Swamp Sniper is absolutely it. Christopher at Ball Hack, that's who it is behind the Swamp Sniper channel, is just really good. He's got a film background, so I think he has kind of a leg up over a lot of us in this industry, but you can definitely see it. He's good at the narrative, good at telling the stories, and I think that's really, if you want to get to those 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million view videos, you're gonna have a story. Jet's the same way, like those Killstreak videos, and like the story builds and there's like these moments of anticipation in it, and that's what turns into good gameplay. Gameplay is hard to do, because you don't know what you're gonna come up with, right? When you go out and play, you could have a great day or you may not have a great day, right? So I think you can put yourself in positions to get good content, good video, good shooting, good action, but at the end of the day, you really, really don't know what you're gonna get. So you can spend a whole weekend playing and maybe end up with enough to put together like half a video or something short, or you could come up with something amazing. Back when I did gameplay, I would love doing the storytelling around the MILSIM events, because there would be missions we would go on, and there would be building to it, and there would be some successes and some failures, and I was able to tell a story through a couple 15-minute videos that was a whole weekend long, condensed into like 10, 10, and 10, or 15 and 15 in chunks. And I think that was something very enjoyable for me. I enjoyed going and then being able to come back and relive my memories through the video, but I always had to look at it, and I think this is the other piece, through the eyes of you. Because I remember the day. I remember everything that I do and did. So for me, it's exciting because I get to see myself, but it's new to you. So I have to make sure that I take what I have and create it in a way, or put it together in a way so you can experience those events like I did. And I think the good that separates an average person that makes videos and someone who's good is making sure they're looking at it through the eyes of you, not through me. Because I was there. When I watched the video, I can remember that moment specifically, but when you watch the video, it's all fresh and new. You weren't there. So how do I pull you in and put you there where I was and give you those feelings that I was having at that same moment? I think that's, again, like what Christopher does great. If you haven't checked out Ball Hack or Christopher's channel, Swamp Sniper, it is absolutely a top tier channel. Airsoft Alphonse, like I said, is great. Jet Desert Fox, they're all fantastic channels. So check them all out. I think they have the pinnacle. And I think that's where Airsoft's gonna continue to go. People love the gameplay. There'll still be guys like me that do Q&A and do product reviews, and I think that's an important piece to what we do. But I think if you really wanna be that top tier channel, like, and hit those multi-million videos, it's gonna end up being something like that. Nawar Al-Sadawi writes, hi, what do you think about GBBRs now in 2021? Thanks for the answer. So yeah, if you would ask me about GBBRs, so gas blowback rifles and Airsoft, green gas specifically, 5-6 years ago, I would say they were in desperate need of help. And you go back even farther, they were even worse. They were still working out the kinks, always had problems. I think still now they're very much a maintenance heavy product, but they are coming a long way. Companies are starting to put steel products in there, reinforce all the components, you know, and continue to fine tune a GBBR. So I think now in 2021, they are far more viable than they were in, let's say, 2018, you know, a handful of years ago, and definitely better than they were in 2015. I mean, I was looking at them like in 2000 and they were terrible, right? Like that's a long time ago. And you know, 2007, 2008, yeah, they really need some love. I mean, they still, there was very few out there, even if you got like the Viper Tech or the Nakatsu, same manufacturing company, just different names attached to them. They still, that was like the top tier, still needed a lot of love, a lot of maintenance, a lot of work, a lot of problems, hop-up issues, things like that. I think KWA really set the bar years ago. They were the first ones I feel like that came out with like the LM4, where they created probably a true top tier product. They went through all the work to get it US approved through the ATF. And I think that's really changed things for GBBRs. And a lot of companies have taken that and moved forward and realized, hey, this is, you know, they can continually improve these. Also, I think people doing HPA tapping their mags has changed the GBBR world, because now you don't have to use green gas and spend a lot of money fueling these beasts. You can use that, the magazine, like standard magazine, have that little just tap on the end, hook your hose into it, set it up, and at least save some money running these things. So you get the realism of the kick, and then you don't have to deal with like the grease and stuff that ends up in the hop-up bucking and things like that and ruins the accuracy. So it's kind of like a hybrid, but people who want realism, oh, you can't beat a GBBR, but there is the maintenance piece. I mean, absolutely, you're gonna be throwing some parts at these things versus an AG for sure. I think that's it. But I think they're better. They're still, you know, a maintenance heavy product. Like I said, you're gonna spend money. Like you're gonna buy it and you're gonna buy parts and you're gonna be fixing this thing and you're gonna have to maintain it and lube it. And that's just part of owning a GBBR. I mean, I've got one right in that room, that way, not this way, it's a hall. That's the room with the closets. I got one sitting in there, you know, I got the RGI sitting there from VFC actually. And you know, it's fun. I enjoy using it, but I'll still grab that AEG for me. But for those of you GBBR fans, yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who's always messing up and modding his and changing them and doing all kinds of crazy things. And usually he's HPAing it. So anyway, but yeah, I think it's viable. I think it's something you can purchase if you don't mind the maintenance and don't mind the extra cost of ownership that comes with these. Magazines are quite more expensive. And then of course, feeding the beast, if you're gonna continue green gas, can get a little pricey because you gotta continue buying green gas if you choose not to HPA tap it, which some people don't want to because of the realism factor is kind of taken away. But anyway, yeah, that's my 2 cents. And I'm curious about what you guys and gals think about GBBRs. Have you had one? Have you run into experience? I mean, I've owned quite a few over the years and most of them end up getting sold off because of just maintenance and kind of a pain. But I'm curious, what do you guys and gals think about GBBRs? If you've owned one or you just maybe curious about them and you're still wondering if you should jump into it, put your information down there. Like, let's join the conversation down in the comments section on that one too. So that's it for questions this week, which means it is time for the Code Red Headsets video recommendation of the week. And this one comes from Shane Bray. And like always, not always, but sometimes I do love to help people self-promote. And this is his own channel. He's like, hey, what do you think of this Riot video I did at a local, like kind of a local little MILSIM event? It was kind of a RUSFOR thing. I thought it was gonna be like a MILSIM West event, but actually it was at like his local field. And the first chunk of the video was kind of a setup and build up. But if you scrub on, you know, about 2/3 of the way in, it's pretty cool what they did. Like they planned this thing out. I guess they're kind of getting it set up and add some realism. And by the way, I love when people get into like the role playing, cool ways where people are like cosplaying and just not doing the MILSIM or you know, the Speedsoft side of world, which are all great as well, but putting their own spin on. And this is another one too. Like there's a bunch of guys that are dressed like civilians, kind of a Russian themed event, but then there's like the Russian military guys, and they're literally throwing bricks. They brought out a bunch of foam bricks and like foam prop hammers and stuff, and they have this full on riot. And what makes this video really interesting, what I like about it, if you haven't noticed it, it's been popping up over the corner or playing over top of me, is you get a simultaneous feed from the ground looking through the eyes of one of the players, him, and then at the same time, you've got a drone shot overhead seeing the crowd and what's happening. And there's like smoke going off and all this stuff. So it kind of gives you this double view of it. And I think that's a really neat perspective to get this top-down view, kind of like a mini map, like you would in a video game. At the same time, you can see where the player's moving and in relation to the action. And I think that's what makes this so cool. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I got a link to his channel, would have popped up here in the corner already, or of course down in the description box. I've got all the links to everything, timestamps, all that stuff, so you can jump around in this video. Also, if you have your own video you want to promote or a video on a channel you like, don't forget, put those down in the comment section, as well as any questions you'd like to see me answer next week. But until then, go out, play some Airsoft, have some fun, but no matter what you do, drop a like on this video, mash the sub button, hit the notification bell, call your freaking hits.